Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Kathy. That was beautiful. Welcome to the Unitarian Church of Los Alamos. My name is Elliff Cruz, and I use she, her pronouns, and I'll be today's worship associate. Whoever you are, whomever you love, whatever your image of the holy is, wherever you are on your life's journey, you are welcome here. If this is your first time with us, we would love to get to know you. Please consider signing our guest sign-in book that's located here in the foyer. For kids here in our service, we have our activity table up front here. Kids can also stay seated with their parents, but please remember just to use quiet and whisper voices while talking. We also have our nursery coordinator, Sarah Hamoud, who can check in your kiddos just down the hall, or the kids can be seated with grown-ups. If you would like to know more about our programs for kids, youth, and adults, please speak to Elizabeth Portillos, our Director of Faith Formation. We have our Candles of Community area over here and in the back. You are encouraged to come up before prayer and meditation time to light a candle and or write your joy or sorrow in the book to be read aloud. If you need pastoral care or support or chat, or you just need to chat over coffee, or even financial assistance, please contact Reverend Tina DeYoe to set up an appointment.
I'm the Reverend Tina DeYoe. I use she, her pronouns, and I am the minister here at this church. Welcome, everybody. We have some announcements this morning, just a few. So today, after the service, you can join us for coffee and conversation in the fellowship hall with some snacks and just hanging out, get to know people. And so please join us after the service for that. And then at noon today, everyone is welcome to join a Soul Matters small group try-it session from noon to 1:30. We'll have some lunch snacks. And you can try the Soul Matters small group if you'd like. If you've already been doing Soul Matters in small groups, you can still come. You are welcome. But yeah, we're going to be meeting down the hall in classroom 2 at noon today. And Bill Podorski and Britton are going to be facilitating our Soul Group Small Matters session today. So, and I'm going to join in with y'all as well. So please join in if you feel up to it. And then I just wanted us to be aware, this is my last Sunday for 4 Sundays I'm going to be gone. So I'm out of office for the majority of the month of August until I'll be back August 30th in the pulpit. I'm going to India and Nepal on professional development time, and so I will be gone for the month of August. And I will be doing a presentation when I get back the second Sunday in September, the forum time. I will be doing a presentation about my experience going out to India and Nepal. I'm going to be doing some religious temple touring and meeting with some social justice organizations that do good work in that area, in those areas as well. And my partner Eric is also going with me, so you won't see him either. So I'm going with a minister colleague friend who takes these trips, groups of folks out to India and Nepal and has partnerships and connections there. So just wanted to make that announcement. There'll be an email announcement about it, and we have folks, staff and our caring network lead, Melissa Bartlett, who will respond in times of pastoral care needs and emergencies. That info will go out in an email. Nylea, as our staff rep for worship, will be here, and Elizabeth, our director of faith formation, will still be here for the month of August, and our office admin, Peggy, who is remote right now, she'll also be able to respond to your requests for room rentals or any events that you want to plan. So yeah, that announcement will go out, and I will miss all of you, and then I will bring what I learned back to all of you too. So just wanted to make that announcement this morning. So let us come now into worship together. We come together as a community every Sunday to pause and worship together. Worship creates connections within, among, and beyond us, calling us to live with wisdom and compassion, calling us to be our better selves, and calling us to love life. And today our theme is uncertainty, faith, and humility. It is a sermon based on some of the themes of the movie Conclave, which some of us watched last night here. And so that is our theme for this Sunday's worship. Now we will light our flaming chalice, the symbol of our faith. And we have Robbie, who's going to come light our chalice, and Ari and Leo and Otto, and they're all cousins. And Robbie's visiting from Philly, so that's pretty cool. So you guys will light our chalice, and then Laura will read our chalice lighting words.
We face a challenge to democracy, a challenge that calls to hope in moments of despair, a challenge that asks us to persist in the faith, that we can and must make a difference. May our flaming chalice recommit us to truth in our words and our actions. That way we may live as we believe people should live.
Thank you, Kathy and Nylea. Thanks. One more quick announcement I forgot before I start the sermon is we sent this out in an email already to the church, but we'll be doing a Chaco Canyon weekend of camping the second weekend in October. So look for those emails if you want to sign up. But also today I have the way you can respond with comments to the fact that the federal government wants to be taking this land and drilling for oil and all the things and ruining this amazing cultural significant place. And so I have some flyers that you can take. I just wanted to make that announcement as well. So because this is a significant place in our state, so we want to protect it. Some say that the 21st century is the age of anxiety. So we all get to be anxious together. Yay! This century, as we know, started with Y2K, then 9/11, then the Iraq War, then Hurricane Katrina, then the collapse of financial systems with the recession, and we know climate crisis is also on the rise. And we are witnessing and experiencing the anxiety we have around the possible collapse, and we're gonna fight really hard so it doesn't, democratic systems. Also the Gaza genocide, the rise of data centers and AI. We could just keep naming all the things that make us anxious. And I feel like I'm in the Don't Worry book that Elizabeth read. And I feel like worrying every day about all of these things. Maybe some of you can relate. And let's not forget about our just daily and weekly anxieties we have about our health, or raising kiddos, or the work tasks we have, or forest fires, or even financial anxieties. So yeah, maybe some of you can relate to this 21st century supposed age of anxiety. Maybe, yes, yeah, maybe. So some of us last night watched the movie Conclave, which is based on a book by Robert Harris. And this Conclave, the movie and the book is a fictional story about the death of a Catholic pope and the process the cardinals go through to select a new pope. Through the character portrayals and the suspenseful music, the movie allows you to feel the anxiety in the room as these 118 cardinals select the new person to be the leader of the Catholic Church. Throughout the time of being in the sequestered conclave, it is unveiled that some of the cardinals who are being voted on to be the next pope have engaged in dishonest behaviors in their work within the church. These behaviors come to light in their time together in the conclave. Also, outside the sequestered Sistine Chapel, there have been suicide bombers that have killed and injured people in the Vatican City and other places in Italy and around the world. Divisions have arisen between the Islamic and Catholic faiths. Anxieties are high for all involved making this decision. So in these times of anxious uncertainty, whether it be from a fictional story or real life, what is the remedy or cure that can be relied upon? How do we sit in the uncertainty of it all without drowning in our worries? Grounding ourselves in the here and now, in our diverse and loving community, and by nurturing faith, hope, and humility are all the ways that I can think of that allow for a reprieve from the constant anxious worry of each day. Grounding ourselves in the here and now is easy if you can go off to the Sistine Chapel and sequester yourself like the cardinals do in the story. Just sequester yourself. You'll be fine. However, we know that in our lives, we cannot always sequester ourselves away from the world. So, what type of grounding practice do you have that helps you feel grounded to the here and now? A lot of you enjoyed our chocolate communion 2 weeks ago, and that service was a practice of grounding ourselves in the present moment by savoring the bitterness and sweetness in our lives. I know that coming to this church community each week is a practice in grounding. I love grounding myself in this community so much that I have made it my career. And you all are here every Sunday, and that's amazing. Maybe we need to sequester ourselves away from the social media and doom scrolling. Probably a good idea. Maybe we need a grounding practice of going on a walk each morning. Maybe we need to sit in the Sunday morning Buddhist meditation more. Our worry and anxiety spreads to others if we ourselves do not practice grounding in the present moment. Maybe grounding looks like cuddling your pet each day. Whatever grounds you in your life, practice it and keep practicing it. Maybe it's music, right? Sequester some time each day for your own personal grounding. Not in the Sistine Chapel, in your own personal daily routine. So how do we ground ourselves enough that we are able to hold and sit with the anxiety and uncertainty of life? In the movie Conclave and in the book, the cardinal serving as the dean, the one overseeing the whole conclave process, preaches a homily before they are sequestered in their voting process. This cardinal, whose name in the movie, it's different in the book, whose name in the movie is Cardinal Lawrence, has a prophetic message for the cardinals. He states in his homily that certainty is the great enemy of unity and tolerance. Lawrence even mentions that Jesus Christ, in the last moments of his life on the cross, had doubts and cried out, my God, why have you forsaken me?" He states in his homily that our faith is a living thing because it walks hand in hand with doubt. If there was only certainty and if there was no doubt, there would be no need for mystery and no need for faith. So if we were certain about everything in our lives, that might be a pretty boring existence. If scientists were certain about everything in the universe, well, then they would cease to be scientists. Getting comfy in the uncertainty of life is the work. There's a Buddhist practice of detachment. And if we realize that everything is impermanent and practice detachment, then we can ground ourselves in the here and now and practice gratitude instead of worry. Maybe I didn't get the ice cream I wanted because the store was out of my favorite kind. Instead, I could enter into the practice of trying a new kind. It will be a new experience, and the uncertainty surrounding it can be filled with anxiety or could be filled with delight and joy in the surprise of it all. Try a new ice cream. When I was living and studying and volunteering in Guatemala, and while I was living with a Guatemalan family, this was back in 2010, the weekends were always uncertain for me. I didn't know what the plans were that the family had, but I realized my need for needing to know and be certain of what I would be doing. I knew that I had to let that go. There didn't always seem to be a schedule, but I had my backpack with my water, a jacket, a cell phone, a book, a pen, a paper, a little bit of money, a snack, and my camera. And I took that with me. Some days, the family would tell me we were going to a family member's house to do something, and with my elementary level of Spanish speaking, sometimes I understood what we would be doing, and sometimes I didn't. Sometimes I would enjoy myself at these gatherings, and sometimes I'd be a little bored. If there were kids, I usually would play with them because, again, my elementary level of Spanish would allow me to understand the kids. And I had more trouble understanding the fast-moving conversations of the adults. Instead of sitting in anxiety about having a language barrier or not understanding where my family would be taking me and how long we would stay, I instead embraced a practice of being okay with the uncertainty of it all. Some days, the family would say we were going to someone's house, and some days, the family would say we were going to take a drive, and we would end up at the most beautiful vistas overlooking a lake surrounded by volcanoes. Or we would end up at the Pacific coast. Some of these trips were great and lovely, and some were a little boring, and I would be wondering when we would be going home. The way I grounded myself was to be okay with the uncertainty and surprise of it all, and the practice of gratitude for these unexpected experiences with their many, mostly pleasant surprises. So in these uncertain times, what are you carrying in your backpack to ground you in the present moment of unexpected, pleasant or unpleasant surprises? Uncertain times also call us to enter into community with one another. What makes our Unitarian Universalist community so strong is that we value pluralism and diversity, and we practice loving beyond belief. In Conclave, again, Cardinal Lawrence continues in his sermon saying, "It is the variety of people and views that gives the church its strength." And I would very much agree with this statement as it relates to the Unitarian Universalist Church. A diverse and pluralistic community like our community here can lead us to grounding ourselves in understanding, in empathy, and in love. I learn and I grow best when I'm surrounded by people who aren't exactly like me. This is why, as a minister, I like to open up the pulpit to collaboration with different people in our church community and beyond. Here in this community, we all are in this shared ministry work of love together. We practice living out our shared values here together with our diversity of belief, experiences, cultures, and identities, because we root ourselves in the value that all people have inherent worth and dignity and are worthy of love, care, and compassion. I like to say to folks, and maybe you do too, when I'm explaining Unitarian Universalism, that Unitarian Universalism is a microcosm of what I believe we can be as humans on this planet together. We can embrace people's differing beliefs, views, experiences, all while practicing love and covenanting around shared values. In the Conclave, there is a diversity of people and experiences represented as cardinals. There are cardinals from Italy, from Latin America, from the US, from African countries, from Europe, from Asian countries, and even cardinals who have been serving in Afghanistan during the war. One cardinal in particular is a Mexican citizen serving as the Archbishop of Kabul in Afghanistan. And his name in the movie is Vincent Benitez. The Conclave go back and forth in their voting of who they think should be the next pope. Should the pope be Italian? Should the pope be liberal and progressive? Should the next pope be from Africa? Should the next pope demonstrate their humility and lack of ambition? It becomes clear as the votes go on, and as some of the cardinals are revealed to display the dishonest behavior, that the conclave is in a bit of a crisis of faith and direction, just as the world around them is in a bit of crisis with the bombings that are happening. One of the cardinals that is up for being the next pope declares in his anger his dislike of the Islamic faith after the news of the bombings, and another cardinal, Benitez, who is the Archbishop in Kabul, counters the cardinal's fearful anger with focusing on how we are to respond and ground ourselves in the midst of violence and uncertainty, by grounding and examining ourselves and how we ground ourselves and how we respond to violence and hate. I just wanted to show that clip really quick. So I'm going to show that clip, which I think is powerful. Oop. So as we live in these uncertain times, we must also ground ourselves in nurturing our faith, hope, and humility together. We must have faith that there is another way to counter the narrative of power, fear, violence, and hate. Faith, we know, is a loaded word for Unitarian Universalists. However, I really resonate with what Cardinal Benitez, that was him, says in his speech. The church is what we do next. And I would add, the church and our church community here is a place where we can practice living out our faith. Whatever we believe that means for us, we can practice living out our values, those things beyond ourselves that we believe to be true, those things we believe in that will make our world a more just and equitable place for all. I love this quote about faith from one of our Unitarian Universalist ministers and our denominational and regional lead for our Pacific Western region. Their name is the Reverend Sunshine Jeremiah Wolf, and this is their quote about faith. This is a congregation that gathers in faith. Not faith in one religion or one God or any one way. We gather in faith of the power of diversity, the power of love, and the hope of a world transformed by our care. We gather in faith in ourselves and those around us. Not a faith that requires perfection or rightness in one another. Rather, a faith that in our shared imperfection, we may learn to stumble and fall together. Faith that will help one another to rise and try again and again. We are Unitarian Universalists. This is a definition of faith I can get behind as a Unitarian Universalist. This is a definition of faith that I believe can ground us in these uncertain times. Faith not as a fixed set of dogmatic beliefs, but as a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. A covenantal commitment to shared values and a relationship with what is held sacred or deeply loved. As Unitarian Universalists, we seek to build a religion based not on naysaying or rejection, but rather we base our faith on a positive, life-affirming message. We are a covenantal faith, not a creedal faith. In short, this means we believe in deeds, not creeds. To nurture faith in something beyond ourselves, beyond power, beyond greed or fear, is to enter into the work of nurturing hope. And we must say yes to nurturing faith, hope, and humility together. The Conclave in the movie concludes with the final vote after the bombings and the speech you just saw given by Benitez. The final votes are tallied, and Cardinal Benitez receives the majority of the votes. He then pauses before accepting this holy and sacred duty and responsibility, but does indeed accept the call to serve as the next pope. It is then revealed in the end, right before the conclave is to announce Benitez as the next pope, that Benitez has had some health issues that the previous pope knew about and still allowed Benitez to serve as archbishop. These became clear to Cardinal Lawrence, the dean of the conclave. Lawrence approaches Benitez as he is robing up to be the next pope, and it is revealed that the health issues that Benitez has been experiencing are that after an appendectomy, Benitez finds out that he has a uterus and ovaries. Benitez never knew he was intersex until the appendectomy procedure. He has male and female chromosomes. Lawrence, of course, is made uneasy by all of this, and Benitez then references Lawrence's previous homily where he had stated, "Let us elect a pope who doubts and continues to make this faith a living thing that may inspire the world. A pope who sins and asks for forgiveness and carries on." Benitez then states that he is who God has made him, and that perhaps it is his difference that will make him more useful. He states, "I know what it is to exist between the world's certainties." Existing between the world's certainties in these times of uncertainty. Benitez's character portrayal in his own gender diversity is one of being humble and grounded. This person who has lived and served in countries ravaged by war, this person who lives and serves as an archbishop and who will now be pope with gender diversity that could eventually be revealed to the larger world. The future is uncertain. War, questions, doubts, fears, all of these leave us anxious. Yet the work for us is to be humble, gracious, and grounded. Our diverse community here helps ground us. Our internal work of nurturing our beliefs in faith and hope beyond ourselves helps ground us. And our work in what we do next and how we lead with love from these grounded places is the forward work in these uncertain times. So one way that I like to nurture faith and hope in these times, other than being with you here on Sunday mornings each week, is to engage in practices of embracing the beauty all around us. How many of you do this too? Yeah, practice embracing beauty? I love taking photos of the landscapes and the always changing sky here in Los Alamos. And I'm also working really hard to finish a cross-stitch project that is a beautiful mountain sunset scene reflected in water. I will now challenge you to reflect on a question as we go out today. How are you committing to your own nurturing of faith and hope in these uncertain times? How are you committing to being grounded in love? May each of us grow in our understanding of what is grounding us and guiding us in these turbulent times. And may we embrace the uncertainty and explore the questions together here in our diverse and beloved community. Amen, and may it be so.